The night was quiet. Too quiet. Ethan walked slowly down the empty street, his hands in his pockets, his face tired after a long day of work. The city lights flickered above him, and a cold wind moved through the dark buildings. Nothing felt normal tonight, but he could not explain why. When he reached his small apartment, he stopped for a second. Something felt wrong. Then, knock, knock, knock. Ethan froze. It was midnight. No one ever came to his door at this hour. He stayed still, listening. Maybe he imagined it. Then again, knock, knock, knock. This time louder. Ethan walked slowly to the door. His heart was beating faster now. He looked through the small screen, but saw nothing clearly. Just a small shadow. He unlocked the door carefully and opened it. And then he saw her. A small girl stood outside. Her skin was light green. Her ears were slightly pointed. Her clothes were old and dusty. She looked weak and cold. An orc. But she was not like the orcs Ethan had seen before. She was small, fragile, and alone. The girl looked up at him with calm eyes. Not scared. Not angry. Just calm. Then she spoke in a soft voice. By galactic law, every human must have a wife. Ethan blinked. He stared at her, confused. What? The girl did not move. She simply continued. I've been assigned to you. Silence filled the air. Ethan almost laughed. This is a joke, right? He said. Who sent you? But the girl did not smile. Instead, she slowly raised her hand and showed him something. A glowing device. A contract. It was floating slightly above her palm, shining with blue light. Strange symbols moved across it. But one part was clear. His name. Ethan. Signed. His breath stopped. How do you have this? He asked. Before the girl could answer, a soft humming sound filled the sky. Ethan looked up. A small black drone hovered above his building. Its red light was focused directly on him. Watching. Recording. The girl spoke again, still calm. The system has already confirmed the bond. Refusal is not allowed. Ethan felt a chill run down his back. This is crazy, he whispered. The girl lowered her hand. My name is Lyra, she said. I will stay here from now. Ethan looked at her carefully. She was shaking slightly now. Not from fear. From cold. He noticed her bare feet. Her thin clothes. She looked like she had been walking for a long time. Still, something did not make sense. Why you? Ethan asked. Why are you assigned to me? For the first time, Lyra looked down. There was a small pause. Then she answered. I was the last one left. Ethan frowned. What does that mean? Lyra hesitated. Other orcs were chosen first, she said quietly. Stronger ones. Better ones. Her voice became softer. No one chose me. Ethan did not speak. He did not know what to say. The wind grew stronger, pushing against the door. Above them, the drone stayed still. Watching. Waiting. Ethan looked at Lyra again. She was not dangerous. She was just alone. He let out a slow breath. Come inside, he said. Lyra looked up, surprised. For now. Ethan added quickly. Until I understand what is going on. She nodded once. Slowly, she stepped inside the apartment. The room was small. Simple, but warm. Lyra stood near the door, not moving, as if she was afraid to touch anything. Ethan closed the door behind her. The lock clicked. For a moment, everything was silent again. Then Ethan turned to her. You said? Galactic Law, he began. What does that even mean? Lyra looked at him. It means humans are now part of the system, she said. You are required to form bonds with assigned partners. Required? Ethan repeated. Yes. And if I say no? Lyra did not answer immediately. Instead, she slowly walked to the small window and looked outside. The black drone was still there, its red light glowing in the darkness. Finally, she spoke. If you refuse... She turned her head slightly. Her voice was still calm. But now there was something else in it. Something heavy. They will erase both of us. Ethan's eyes widened. Erase. Lyra nodded, as if we never existed. The room suddenly felt colder. Ethan looked at the door, then at the window, then back at Lyra. This was not a joke. This was real. And whatever had started tonight, he was already a part of it. Outside, the drone's red light blinked once, and the silence returned. But this time, it felt like something was watching from the dark. The next morning, Sunlight spilled weakly through the dusty blinds of Ethan's apartment. He was still wide awake, sitting on the edge of his bed. Ethan swallowed hard. Why are they watching me? I didn't do anything. You will, she said simply. They only watch what matters, what is valuable. And right now, we are both valuable. Ethan's pulse quickened. Valuable? To who? And what? Lyra stepped closer, her small hand brushing against a glowing device on the table. Symbols shifted and moved across its surface, forming a map of the city, and something darker beyond it. Because I carry something they want. Something dangerous if it falls into the wrong hands. Ethan's eyes narrowed. What do you carry? She hesitated, her lips pressed together. Something in my blood, ancient or power. Something hidden. Something royal. Ethan's mind spun. Royal? You mean like a queen or something? Lyra shook her head. No, Guers. I am the last of my line. The final bloodline. If they capture me, they will have power no one else can resist. That is why they assign me to you. Ethan felt a chill. Assign me? To protect you. Yes, she said simply. Humans are different. You protect, even when it is painful. You are rare. Ethan looked at her. Her small frame, fragile, but her eyes burned with something he could not name. Determination? Fear? Both. A sudden noise outside made both of them freeze. A black ship passed quickly overhead, faster than any aircraft he had ever seen. Its shape was wrong. Angular, sleek, deadly. Lyra's voice was calm, but firm. They are here, not for the law. Not yet. For me. Ethan turned to her. Then what am I supposed to do? She met his eyes. For the first time, she did not look small. Stay with me. Protect me. Survive. And then she smiled a tiny, almost sad smile. Ethan realized in that moment that nothing would ever be normal again. Outside, the black drone hovered silently. Red light glowing. Watching. Waiting. And Ethan knew the truth behind the law was only the beginning. The city was quiet again that night, but Ethan's apartment felt different. Every shadow seemed heavier, every sound sharper. Lyra sat near the window, her small green hands gripping the sill, eyes scanning the dark streets below. Her presence was calm, but Ethan could feel the tension radiating from her. They will come, she said softly, almost to herself. Ethan froze. Who? The Galactic Council? No. The Hunters, Lyra said, her voice low. They're not here to check the law. They are here for me. Ethan's pulse quickened. Hunters? What do they want? They want the last royal bloodline, she said quietly. And if they get it, everything changes. They don't care about law or rules. Only power. Before he could ask another question, the room shook. A deep, mechanical rumble filled the air. Ethan rushed to the window and saw them. Ships, small but deadly, dropping silently from the sky like black shadows. The Hunters. They know we are here, Lyra whispered. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from the building next door. The Hunters had landed. Small drones zoomed through the streets, scanning, searching. Ethan grabbed a chair and moved it in front of the door. He had no weapons, only what he could find, kitchen knives, chairs, anything heavy. Ethan, you must stay calm, Lyra said. Her eyes glowed faintly green. Ethan realized she wasn't just scared. Something inside her was changing. A hidden power buried deep. The first hunter broke through the door. A tall figure, armored in black metal, moving silently but deadly. Ethan swung the chair. The hunter barely flinched, but it slowed him. Another hunter joined, faster this time, claws sharp and glowing. Run! Lyra shouted suddenly, grabbing Ethan's hand. Ethan hesitated. Run? Where? Through the back. Lyra pointed to a small ventilation shaft barely big enough for them to crawl. But before they could move, the hunter's scanning beams lit up the room. Lyra stepped forward. Her small hands glowed, green light spilling into the room. Energy shot out, hitting the nearest hunter. Sparks flew. The hunter shrieked and stumbled backward. Ethan's eyes widened. You have power? He asked, breathless. I didn't want this, she said quickly, her voice shaking. I didn't ask for this, but they forced it out of me. Ethan looked around. The hunters were regrouping, faster than he expected. Then we have to move. Now. They crawled through the vent, the metal scraping against their skin. Ethan could feel the tension, every shadow, every sound magnified. Outside, the hunters' drones hovered above, red lights scanning, searching for the smallest sign of movement. When they finally reached the roof, the city stretched below them. The hunters' ships moved like predators, searching, relentless. Lyra's hands were still glowing, her breath uneven. They won't stop, she said. They know I'm here. They know my bloodline. And if they get it, her voice dropped. They will destroy everything. Ethan swallowed hard. Then we fight. Lyra shook her head. Not yet. We survive first. Then we fight. Suddenly, a flash of movement. A hunter leapt from a nearby building, claws extended. Ethan reacted on instinct, grabbing a pipe from the roof and swinging. The hunter skidded back, hissing, but there were more behind him. Lyra's eyes glowed brighter now, her small body radiating power. She moved like water, dodging attacks effortlessly, her energy striking back at the hunters. Sparks flew, metal bent, and yet the hunters kept coming. They were relentless, precise. Ethan realized something terrifying. These hunters weren't just soldiers, they were designed to kill. Every move, every strike was calculated, and yet, humans, he realized, were unpredictable. Unpredictable in a way machines could not calculate. That was their advantage. He grabbed Lyra's hand again. We need a plan. I have one, she said, her voice firm now, steady. But it's dangerous. If it fails, she didn't finish the sentence. I don't care, Ethan said. We survive together. That's the plan. The hunters were closing in. Lyra glanced at him. And for the first time, Ethan saw something he hadn't before, trust, and maybe hope. Suddenly, she shouted, now, and a massive wave of green energy shot from her hands, sending several hunters flying off the rooftop. Ethan held on to her, barely keeping balance as the blast rocked the building. Breathing hard, Ethan looked at her. What are you? I told you, Lyra said, her voice trembling. I am the last of my line, and if I survive, I might be the only one left who can stop them. Ethan nodded. He didn't fully understand, but he knew one thing. He could not let her die. Not tonight. Not ever. The city below burned in green light from Lyra's energy. The hunters regrouped, their red eyes glowing in the darkness. And Ethan realized this was only the beginning. The hunters were relentless, ruthless, and unstoppable. But together, maybe, just maybe, they could survive. The city was burning, not with fire but with chaos. Shadows of black ships streaked across the sky while hunters patrolled every street, their red scanning lights cutting through the night. On the rooftop of a crumbling building, Ethan crouched next to Lyra, breathing hard, his hands trembling slightly from adrenaline. I can't do this alone, he admitted. I'm not like you. Lyra shook her head, her green eyes glowing softly. You already are. You just don't know it yet. Humans, you fight differently. You use your mind. Strategy. Heart. Ethan looked at her, confused. Strategy? Heart? What good is that against machines that can kill in a second? Lyra smiled faintly, almost cruelly. Machines calculate. They follow patterns. Humans break bones. That is why you survive when others fail. That is why they assign me to you. For a moment, silence hung between them. Then a loud crash tore through the building nearby. A hunter ship had landed. Out of it poured dozens of armored figures, moving with deadly precision. They are relentless, Ethan muttered, gripping a pipe like a weapon. They must not find me, Lyra whispered. Her hands started glowing brighter, her small body trembling as energy radiated outward. If they capture me, it is over. Entire sectors of the galaxy will be at risk. My bloodline too powerful to fall. Ethan felt the weight of her words, and something inside him shifted. He was no longer just protecting Lyra. He was protecting the future, protecting hope. Okay, he said firmly. We fight, but smart. We use traps, distractions. We use what they don't expect. Lyra's eyes widened. You understand? I don't know how yet, Ethan admitted. But I will. The hunters were closing in. Ethan noticed a narrow alley below, filled with crates, pipes, and broken walls. He motioned to Lyra. We draw them there. I can use the environment. You use your power. She nodded, trust shining in her eyes. I will follow you. They ran across the rooftops, jumping over gaps, ducking under energy blasts that sizzled in the air. Below, the hunters' red eyes tracked every move. But humans did not always move logically. Ethan zigzagged, feinted, and led them straight into the alley he had scouted. Now, he shouted. Lyra released a surge of green energy. Sparks flew, sending the first wave of hunters tumbling into crates and broken walls. Ethan used the chaos, swinging pipes, throwing debris, and guiding Lyra through the narrow streets. Every hunter that approached was either knocked back or confused by their unpredictability. This is amazing, Ethan panted. You're unstoppable. Lyra laughed softly, a mix of fear and exhilaration. Unstoppable, maybe, but not without you. The hunters were relentless. They adapted, moving faster, more coordinated. Ethan realized the stakes were higher than he imagined. Lyra's energy was powerful, yes, but it was unstable. One wrong move, and she could destroy everything in the city. Suddenly, a massive armored hunter leapt from a nearby rooftop. Its claws glowed with energy that matched Lyra's green light. Ethan stepped in front of her instinctively. Stay back, he shouted. I can handle it. Lyra protested, but Ethan shook his head. You are powerful, yes, he said, but this is about trust. I protect you when you need it, even from yourself. The hunter struck. Ethan dodged, ducked, and used the rooftop edge to flip onto the hunter's back. He jammed his weight against its armor, disrupting its balance. Sparks flew as Lyra focused her energy, striking the hunter from behind. Together, human and orc worked seamlessly, heart and strategy, power and courage. When the last hunter in the alley fell, Ethan leaned against a wall, breathing heavily. Lyra stood beside him, glowing faintly, exhaustion written across her small face. You, she whispered, voice shaking. You're different from what I expected. You care more than anyone else. Ethan nodded, chest heaving. Humans we protect, even when it hurts, even when it's dangerous. That's what makes us human. For a moment, silence. Then a soft vibration from the glowing contract Lyra had carried. A message from the Galactic Council appeared in midair. Human Ethan, you have proven your strength. You have survived. You are worthy. But the galaxy still watches. Prepare for what comes next. Ethan read it aloud, voice low. Prepare for what comes next. Lyra's eyes glowed brighter, almost like fire. They are not done. The hunters, they are only the beginning. The council tests all humans. But together we can survive. Ethan looked at her, determination rising in his chest. Then we fight. Not because they tell us to, but because it is right. Because we choose to. Lyra's small hand brushed his. Then, I choose you too. Above them, the sky was still dark, filled with hunters, drones, and ships. But for the first time, Ethan felt hope. Humans may not be the strongest in power, but in heart, in strategy, in courage, they were unstoppable. And tonight, he would prove it. The first light of dawn barely touched the skyline, painting the city in pale orange and gray. The streets were empty, but the air was heavy with tension. Ethan and Lyra crouched atop the tallest building in the district, the wind whipping around them. Below, the hunters were regrouping, their black ships and drones moving like predators circling a wounded prey. Lyra's small body trembled, not with fear, but with power. Her green energy pulsed like a heartbeat, illuminating her tiny form against the dark city. Ethan, she whispered, this is it. If I release all of my power, I might destroy everything, including us. Ethan shook his head, gripping her hand tightly. Then I stay with you. Whatever happens, we face it together. Her glowing eyes met his, something shifting in them. Trust, hope, and maybe for the first time, love. You don't understand, she said softly. I have the blood of my ancestors, the last of the royal line. My energy is wild, uncontrolled. One mistake, and her voice broke. Ethan interrupted her gently. Then we don't make mistakes. We fight smart. We fight together. You are not alone. Below them, the hunters began their final approach. Larger than before, more deadly, carrying energy weapons that hummed with lethal precision. Ethan's mind raced. He had no powers like Lyra, no glowing energy. But he had his human instinct, his strategy, and his courage. Lyra, he said, we need a plan. Draw them here, into the central plaza. I can use the structures, the streets, anything to slow them down. She nodded, her hands glowing brighter. I will follow your lead. Ethan, as they leapt from the rooftop, green energy trailing behind Lyra, the hunters attacked. Sparks flew as her blast struck drones and soldiers alike. Ethan ran beside her, throwing debris, pushing hunters off balance, creating chaos where machines relied on order. One massive hunter leapt in front of them, claws raised. Ethan dodged and grabbed a broken steel beam, swinging it with all his might. The hunter staggered back, shocked at his unpredictability. Humans were chaotic, unpredictable, dangerous in ways machines could not calculate. Now Lyra, he shouted. Lyra released a massive wave of green energy. The plaza below erupted in light and sound as hunters were thrown back, their ships destabilized. The blast rocked the city, but Ethan held on to her, steadying her small frame as her power surged uncontrollably. For a moment, the world seemed to freeze. Lyra's energy pulsed like a storm, shaking the buildings, turning the sky green. And then, silence. The hunters lay defeated, their ships broken, their drones flickering and dying. Lyra's energy subsided, leaving her trembling, exhausted, but alive. Ethan held her close, breathing heavily. You did it, he said, amazed. We did it. Lyra looked at him, her eyes soft now, no longer glowing. We survived, she whispered. Because of you. Ethan shook his head. No, because of us. Together. Then, a holographic message appeared before them, floating midair. It was the Galactic Council. The symbols shifted into words Ethan could read. Human Ethan, you have proven the strength of your species. Courage, strategy, and heart are unmatched. You have protected the last of the royal line. You are worthy. The bond you share with Lyra is recognized. Will you accept this bond permanently? Ethan looked at Lyra. She was small, fragile, but she had fought with him, trusted him, survived with him. He knew the council's law was cold, impersonal, but he didn't care about the law anymore. He took a deep breath. Lyra, he said, his voice steady, this isn't about the law. This is about us. Do I accept? Yes. Not because I have to, but because I choose to. Lyra's eyes widened, a mix of shock and relief washing over her face. You choose me? I do, Ethan replied, gripping her hand. Every step of the way. I protect you because I want to, not because anyone tells me to. Tears filled Lyra's eyes. Her small body trembled as she whispered, then, I choose you too. For the first time, the city felt still. The wind calmed. The shadows of hunters and drones were gone, scattered or destroyed. Ethan and Lyra stood together atop the building, hands intertwined. The sky above glowed faintly with the remnants of her power, green light fading into the early dawn. Humans, Lyra said softly, you are stronger than I imagined, not because of weapons or strength, but because of your heart. Ethan smiled, looking at her. We survive. We protect. We choose, even when the world wants to decide for us. That's who we are. Lyra nodded, a small smile forming on her lips. Then, the galaxy will remember this day, not because of power, but because of humans. Together, they watched the sun rise over the city. The danger was not entirely gone. The council would always watch, and threats would return. But for now, they had each other. Ethan squeezed her hand. No matter what comes next, we face it together. Lyra leaned against him. Together, she agreed. And in that moment, the law, the hunters, and the council didn't matter. Heart, courage, and choice had won. For the first time in the galaxy's long, dark history, humans had proven, beyond laws, beyond fear, but they were unstoppable. And the last of the royal bloodline had a protector, not because of duty, but because of love.